And by accepting, this homosexuality, transsexualism, we are negating Judeo-Christian culture. Yeah. So if we accept their bullshit, we're negating Greek logic and Judeo-Christian culture, which is what the West is built upon. And that's what they're using. They're using fucking homosexuality and transgenderism, gender fluidity, to destroy the foundations of this country.
Welcome to Alliance Against Communism, where people of traditional faith and morals come together to defeat a common enemy. Faith, freedom, patriotism, meritocracy, individualism, Judeo-Christian values, strong nuclear family, truth, traditionalism, virtue, fortitude, charity, duty, honor, etc. is what America and the West is built upon. We are dealing with a subtle Marxist enemy that is subverting and is trying to uproot everything America and the West is built upon. We can no longer sit back and do nothing. They have chosen to battle us, and once somebody chooses to battle us, we have now chosen our battle. Join us today as we fight the good fight. This is our generation's fight, and we must fight to secure our children's future.
And one of the things that I learned about government is that a legitimate government, the reason how a government becomes legitimate is because they take care of the public interests. That's the legitimacy of a government. So if the government is taking, yeah, that's what they're for. So if somebody gets elected in this country and they're not taking care of the public interest and they're harming the public interest, they're the enemy of the United States at that point. You're not taking care of the public interest. You're going against the public interest
for any country they represent. For that.
So the bottom, any government anywhere, if somebody is not taking care of the public interest, that person needs to be removed from power. And if they can't be removed from power, we have to find a way to remove them from power. Period. Somebody's harming. Like, I want you to think about how crazy this is. Okay, if, for example, these stupid leftists were talking about, not prosecuting drive-by shooters. Imagine if drive-by shooters became so emboldened that they started shooting up their own communities, and they got sick of it and they started coming into our communities and shooting up our communities because they're angry at us because they hate white people. That's what would happen. Mm-hmm. Honestly, that's what would happen. They would come to our neighborhoods and start shooting us. And that's what these people are doing. So at that point, if you're going to allow drive-by shooter not to punish drive-by shooters, you are my enemy at that point. You are against the public interest, and you are harming the community, and you are a threat to our country. At this point, I don't care what happens to you at that point. I don't give a shit. You are no longer legitimate. If you are not taking care of the public interest and you are against the public interest, you are no longer legitimate in my eyes. You don't deserve to be in power, and you should be removed from power.
And that's what.
So I think, based upon what I see and how the country has changed and how it's changing, is that political correctness is basically it's a fear. It's based on fear. You don't want to say the truth because you're afraid. I just saw a video a couple days ago. Where Don Bongino was on, he was talking to some Fox News lady, whatever he was talking about, and the lady, he said the virus came from China, the COVID-19 virus came from China, and she says that's racist to say that COVID-19 virus comes from China. That's racist. It's racist. And he said, how is that racist to speak basically a fact? All the evidence points that it originated in Wuhan, China, and you're saying it's racist to point out the fact. So who are they trying to protect? China? Are these people working for China or something? That's what I'm thinking. Is like, so the only thing they got to stop you is to call you a racist. But he didn't stop. He said, no, it's not racist. It came from China. That the fact is the fact, and the fact is the fact. So it's political correctness wants to basically, it's based on fear. So if you're afraid to speak the truth, you go into political correctness. That's what I think the origin of political correctness is fear. And we as Americans cannot be afraid. This country was not built on weak, afraid people. This country was built on the brave.
Yeah, well, rebels.
Rebels, basically, yes.
Yeah, it's based on rebels. Because it's what I base it. The way that I see it is exactly what Chris is saying. Is it's fear. It's what you do is you control people's thoughts, and by doing this, you begin with the word. It's this basic way of totalitarianism, scaring people into sticking to a belief that they don't necessarily stand for.
They don't. So they have to lie to themselves. So it's basically following the type of groupthink. You're afraid. So see, groupthink is that where you deny yourself and then you conform to a group. But this type of political practice is where you're afraid Because you're afraid, you conform to their narrative because you're afraid, but you're deceived. Yeah. But you don't believe it inside yourself, so you're living a lie. You're living a falsehood.
Because you fear to suffer the consequences if you don't.
And remember, I want you to think about this, because if you're afraid to suffer these small consequences, imagine 20 years down the road, people are going to be in jail for speaking the truth, being shot for speaking the truth. Yeah, that's what it's going to lead to.
I mean, the state can't force somebody to think or believe in something, but is that the case in our society now? It's now we're to the point where something that would be considered a courtesy, we can now suffer criminal consequences because of it.
Yeah, what else what he touched upon a little bit is that a country is strong as the people are, basically. So if we're weak, the country's going to be weak, if that makes sense. Now, back in the day, if we saw a crime, we would stand up and stop it. A lot of people would stand up and stop it. But today, if you stand up and stop it, they prosecute you for standing up to a criminal.
Yeah, well, they're threatening us into silence.
Basically, so they don't want us to, if we see a wrong, they don't want us to stop it. They want us to stop, shut up, and call the police and don't do nothing. The police are not going to do anything anyway. For the most of the time, police don't get anything done. They get some things done, but they don't get a lot of things done.
Well, it was like last month when that man on the subway in New York was trying to rape that woman right in front of everybody. Like, everybody's standing there. They were standing there watching it, putting their phones and recording it, instead of all getting a hold of this guy and smashing his head in like a cantaloupe. Like, what are you doing?
I know, it's just so crazy. Like, that's what they want. They want people to not do anything, and they want to punish you for stuff. That's weakness.
That's weak.
These people. Okay. This is if I run for office. Okay, if I ever run for office, the first thing we're going to do, for instance, the border crisis. Like, for example, what I would do if I was the president, if I was the border, I would allow American citizens to help us secure the border. And I would praise them for helping us, because because they want the best for the country. I want for the best of the country. Yeah. So I would praise that behavior. If somebody stopped the criminal action, I would praise that person. Thank you so much for saying. But they don't get praised; they get prosecuted.
Well, what's so interesting about what you're saying is the people that are most against Mexicans crossing the border are legal Mexicans.
Are legal? Yeah, you're right.
They're the ones that do not want these illegal Mexicans in here. I know a guy that I used to hang out with at a pub many years ago, and he's from Scotland. It took him 17 years to become an American citizen, and he went through all the channels, and one of the greatest days of his life was the day that he became an American citizen. Now you can cross the border illegally, and you can get government funding, you can get health care, you can get a job. I mean, it's completely insane. And I completely agree with Chris on terms of security. The border is just one example.
How I kind of woke up to the leftist bullshit is that I read an article a while ago, and I kind of mentioned this before, is that there was American citizens that were trying to stop the illegals from crossing the border. Okay. And some of them actually acted. They tried to arrest them and stop them. Okay. And what happened? These stupid leftist judges prosecuted the people that were helping secure the border. They prosecuted American citizens for protecting the American border from illegal aliens. At that point, I'm like, dude, how evil can these leftists be to prosecute an American citizen for doing a public duty?
Right.
A public duty.
We had Obama for 8 years putting as many radical leftists in any form of office, small or big, in order to constitute this way of thinking.
It's disgusting. And I told you before, I touched this before, is that people are siding with illegal aliens over American citizens, and illegal aliens are murdering American citizens, and nobody cares, but they care about the rights of illegal aliens. But you don't care about the rights of American citizens. That's where the sicknesses come in. So the next thing I want to talk about, I learned this kind of from Shapiro, like I said, but he just kind of hinted at this, and I kind of took it and I kind of figured it out what these leftists are doing. For example, he says that, he was talking for PragerU, I believe. It was a really good little talk. And he says that, the Western culture, Western America and the West itself is built on two things. It's built on Judeo-Christian culture and Greek civilization culture, right? So if you look at Judeo-Christian culture is built on the spiritual realm, that the Judeo-Christian culture, which is spiritual, like Christianity, Judaism, and then the Greeks were about logic and reason. So basically, it's a blend of both. So for example, if you're all logic and reason, you have no faith. But if you're all faith and you have no logic and reason, it's not good. So if you blend those two together, if you blend faith and logic and reason together, you're blending Judeo-Christian culture and Greek logic. You're taking the best of the both worlds, putting them together, and that's why the West is so great, because we've taken those two things and put them together. So the West is built on Greek logic and Judeo-Christian culture. And you put those two together, you become the superpower that we are. And that's the basis of Western civilization. Now, what these American-hating, racist against white people leftists, what they're doing, even if they're white, they're racist against their selves or self-hatred, whatever the hell it is, or they just want power.
Many Marxists and communists are white.
Yeah, that's true. So it's more of just like, but they see us as the problem, us standing in their way. But anyway, so what I was trying to say is they're trying to destroy those two things. Remember, in communism, they have to destroy the roots of a country, the roots of a culture to implement the Marxism. So the roots of the West is Judeo-Christian culture and Greek logic, okay? So now they're coming with us, so they're always
reason and faith.
Yes, reason and faith together. So what the leftists have been doing for the past couple of years is they're always talking about homosexuality, gender fluidity, transsexualism, LGBTQ, XYZ, whatever the fuck they're talking about it now. So that's what they're doing. Now I want you to think about this for a second, okay? So they're trying to get us to accept that a male can be a female because they feel like it. A female could be a male because they feel like it, and we have to accept them for what they're saying. So basically, a man could say I'm a woman, he can go into a woman's bathroom, he can go to a woman's locker room, and they have to accept it. And I just saw an article a couple of days ago which boiled my fucking blood. There was a chick, I think it was a chick that dressed up like a dude, went into the boys' locker room and they said, you can't come in here. And she sued and won. She who dressed up as a he, sued, and she won. Whatever the fuck she is, won $4 million from the state.
Okay, if she has a vagina, it's a she.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you know what that reminds me of is when we were kids, and you meet someone's family dog, and you look between the legs, and it either has balls or it has tits. There's no other way to look at it. That is basic nature. When we're negating nature, we're in a lot of trouble.
So what I believe, what I think the leftists are doing, and it makes perfect sense, and I brought this up to Eric earlier, and he agrees with it.
100%.
Is that like I said, the West is built on Judeo-Christian culture and Greek logic. By coming out with this leftist gender fluidity, transsexual bullshit, is they're trying to get us to accept an unfactual statement. Is they're trying to destroy the Greek logic to make us unobjective, so that we don't have that sense of Greek logic anymore. And listen to this. And it's part of Judeo-Christian culture to be against homosexuality. Homosexuality is actually called sodomy. That's what it's actually called in the biblical tradition.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get us to accept sodomy like it's normal, when it's not normal. It's a perversion, and it's against the Bible. It's against Judeo-Christian culture. So by accepting, listen to this, by surrendering to these fucking leftist bastards, by accepting that a man can be a woman can be a man, we're destroying Greek logic, objectivity. That's how deep it is. Does that make sense? It's just,
it makes.
And by accepting, this homosexuality, transsexualism, we are negating Judeo-Christian culture.
Yeah.
So if we accept their bullshit, we're negating Greek logic and Judeo-Christian culture, which is what the West is built upon. And that's what they're using. They're using fucking homosexuality and transgenderism, gender fluidity, to destroy the foundations of this country.
Since it's like cutting the head off the snake.
So it's like so subtle. Like the devil comes in the most subtle way, and you don't even see what they're doing. It's so subtle. But if you really think about it, they're negating Western civilization as we know it if we follow their bullshit.
Well, you start to wonder about it, because I mean, are homosexuals, lesbians, transgender people, are they really victimized that much and that often? And if you look at it, when you take homosexuality, lesbians, and transgender people, and you put them all together, they're only right around 3.5–4% of our population. They're a very, very small minority of people. So are they really getting persecuted? I mean, is it really like our modern day civil rights? Because what I think what true civil rights is what Chris and I are talking about now, is standing up for what is going on. And I think that this is the most interesting conversation that we're having right now, because if you destroy one, the other one wilts and dies.
So, like I said, I'm not trying to advocate any type of violence or anything against gay, transgender people.
Not.
I'm not. But you're not going to force me to accept a non-truth. You're not going to force me to go against my beliefs. I believe that homosexuality is a sin, and that's what I believe deep in my heart because I'm a Christian. Okay. And you're not going to tell me that a man is a woman and a woman is a man. A man that has a penis, a woman has a vagina, and you're not going to tell me anything other than that. That I'm staying to the truth, and I'm not going to follow you because I believe in logic and I believe in Judeo-Christian culture. Okay, I don't advocate the hatred or to do any kind of violence against transsexual people and all that stuff. I'm not for that. But you're not going to get me to succumb to your leftist bullshit.
See, where I stand is I'm a little more libertarian in this way. I see it as I don't care if you're a guy and want to dress up like a woman. I really don't care if your name was Brian and now you want to be referred to as Brittany. People change their names all the time. If you want me to call you Brittany, I really don't care. What I have a problem with is the state stepping in and telling me that it's a hate crime if I don't refer to this individual by their preferred pronouns, like this concept of them. What the fuck is that?
So
them?
Crazy.
I'm sorry, you're plural now? You're not just one person, so are you a schizophrenic? I mean, are you 5 different people? Do you talk to the toaster on a regular basis? What is going on with this? And this is where I have a problem because, like Chris says, it's extremely deep how this goes. Just this one particular topic. And I agree with Chris. I'm not advocating any kind of criminal action or persecution against someone in their sexual preference. I don't care what you do. If you are 2 consenting adults, I really don't care what you do in the confines of your own home. But when they're starting to, which is a completely different topic, but when they're starting to normalize pedophilia, I mean, saying that they should call it, I forget what this professor at one of these universities tried to call it, like minor person attraction.
Changing the word.
Going back to political correctness, these euphemisms, trying to change the way that we see something. Because heaven forbid that we actually use a word for what it was intended for.
My goodness. So just going back to what Eric was saying, there's an article by the Christian Post. It's called Criminalizing Christianity, Sweden's Hate Speech Law. I'm going to quote this. I'm going to read the first paragraph. In Europe, people are starting to be jailed for saying what they think. Those words were spoken by Vladimir Palko, the Slovak interior minister, in a strongly worded protest to the Swedish ambassador to Slovakia. The minister's comments represented outrage over jailing of a Christian pastor for preaching against homosexuality. The arrest of this pastor in Sweden is only a foretaste of what is to come if homosexual advocates and their ideology gain traction in the United States and other nations. So what this is saying is that the leftists even have a stronger agenda. You just don't see it. I'm going to show you this now. Is that they want to talk about LGBTQ rights and gay rights and all this stuff because in the end they want to criminalize hate speech against these people. And think about this: by calling homosexuality as a sin, it's called hate speech, and they'll put you in jail in Norway for saying that. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to destroy Christianity. What they're trying to do is they're trying to criminalize supposedly hate speech against gays so they can outlaw Christianity. That's what they're trying to do in the end. So that's how they're destroying Western culture.
There you go.
So they want to talk about this. And I'll give you another example. When I was a Muslim, because I converted back to Christianity, but anyway, I was a Muslim before, so I had to talk about my experience a little bit. So there's this guy named Bilal Phillips. He's I don't know if he's from Canada, America, I don't know, but he was a person that converted to Islam and he became a really big Islamic scholar. And now he lives in an Arab country. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because he tried to go to Germany and he got a letter from Germany that said you are no longer ever allowed to come into Germany for the rest of your life because you spoke against homosexuals. So he has a lifetime ban because he spoke against homosexuality as a sin. That's where they want to go with this. That's where they're trying to take us. They're trying to outlaw Christianity and religion, the traditional religious faith, because in order to implement Marxism, you can't have traditional faith there. So that's the end goal. So always think about this. The end goal is to outlaw Christianity and destroy Greek reason. Remember, The West is built on Greek reason and Judeo-Christian cultures. They have to take that out, and they're using this homosexuality stuff to destroy this country.
Well, the thing about it is what bothers me. Obviously, there's many things that bother me about this, but as I said, there's very few people in this country that actually are homosexual or lesbian, or they suffer from gender confusion, and which we should be totally sympathetic on it. But the left doesn't concern itself with compassion or caring for these individuals. It's like Chris and I are talking about. What they want to do is they want to blur the lines between the two. And if you blur the lines between the two, you don't see a distinction between men and women, more of a cultural agenda. And what they're doing is completely insidious.
I mean, and also what the West is built on is traditional nuclear family. You remember, a strong family is the nucleus of this nation. You destroy the family, you destroy the nation. They're trying to destroy the family.
Well, and you know what's really amazing, you know, with my biology background is men and women are designed for each other. It's like a lock and key kind of thing. Like it's a symbiosis. It's the yin and the yang.
Yeah,
without the man, there is no woman, and without the woman, there is no man. That's why, you know, they joke about men are from Mars and women are from Venus, because we are completely different creatures, and we're different creatures to accent each other. Women have strengths that we men do not possess, and men have strengths that women do not possess. As I said, we completely accent and create a symbiosis with one another, and they're trying to blur these lines and trying to say that it's a normal thing for men to be together. Well, if you talk it in a biological way, like Chris said, sodomy, I'm sure our listeners know exactly what sodomy is. I'm certainly not going to give you any kind of intimate detail on what sodomy is. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting. It is.
And this is just my personal opinion, and that's the beauty of the conversation, because I fucking hate political correctness. You can do what you like, as I said. I really don't care. But going after people and persecuting someone because they have a stance on something, that's like me. I hate tomatoes. I do not like them. I've never liked them. I never will like them. I'm not going to rage a conspiracy and destroy all tomatoes in the world.
Oh, goodness gracious.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, like, it's just completely ridiculous. Just because we don't like something doesn't make it hate. This concept of phobia. Phobia is the Greek word for fear. I don't fear it. I just don't like it.
Now, my friend brought it to me a couple years ago. They all say that hate is wrong, but sometimes hate is not wrong, because there's a notion of called perfect hate, where you hate what God hates. If you hate what God hates, it's called perfect hate. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with hating a murderer. There's nothing wrong with hating a thief.
Right.
It's called perfect hate. Why would I hate somebody? Why wouldn't I hate a Marxist? I hate a Marxist because they want to destroy me.
Right.
Why would they want to destroy all goodness? They want to destroy Western civilization. It's called perfect hate. There's nothing wrong with having perfect hate at all. If you hate what God hates, it's perfect hate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. But I want to touch on the family a little bit, and I want to be honest. So the bottom line is, we as human beings, we're not strong. We're not as strong as we think we are. There's certain times that we fail. Sometimes we don't have money, or sometimes we make a bad decision and we need help. And who is there to help us? Our family when we need help. Like for example, you're not going to be able to be on your feet. You cannot. You're susceptible to get sick. You're susceptible to maybe come into a financial problem. You're susceptible to lose your job. There's a lot of things that can happen as a human being, and your family's there to back you up. That's the beauty of family, is that you have a backup. They're trying to destroy the family, so you have no backup. The only backup you have is the fucking state. The state. That's what they want to do.
Like with me, my true blessing in life is my family. If I look at it without my family, I really have nothing.
So that's what they're trying to destroy. And if you look at the black community, like I said, we're talking about the black community again, but they have a 70 to 80% single family household rate. They have no father in the home. And that's the reason why the black community is in shambles, because of fatherlessness. That's what even Candace Owens said this. Larry Elder said, these prominent...
Thomas Sowell,
they all say the same thing. It's because there's no father in the home. And that's where the problem is. So we have to, you want to repair, if you want to help the black community, if you care about the black community, if these Black Lives Matter people actually cared about the black community, they would be trying to repair the black family.
Absolutely.
The government would be trying to repair the black family, but the government wants to The government doesn't want to repair the black family. They want to give black women welfare because they want to take the place of the black husband. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to, so the woman's not dependent on the black man for her livelihood. They're dependent on the state for their livelihood. Yeah. And that's fucking racist. If you think about it, that's racist.
Absolutely.
I mean, you could call me a racist for speaking out against this, but you want to, but the state wants to take the place of a black father, and you're calling me a racist and not them a racist for trying to take care of you like they need to take care of you. You're a human being and you need to be taken care of by the fucking government.
Well, the Democrats and the left are the biggest racists of all. They act like they're sticking up for minorities. In reality, what they're saying is minorities are too weak to stick up for themselves.
I want you to think about this for a second. You called me and Erica racist, probably, you stupid leftists that are listening to this. Okay, I'm sure there's leftists.
You can call us whatever you want.
I want you to think about this. But Mayor Lightfoot of Illinois is literally having 60 to 70 black people are being shot every weekend in her fucking city, and it's okay. But if we speak out against it, you're calling us a racist. But her self-hatred or whatever the fuck she's doing is getting 70 black people shot every weekend. Every weekend.
Her lesbian lover is a white woman.
Exactly. And she looks like fucking, what is her name? Big Bird. Big Bird. She's like so tall. She looks like Big Bird. Anyway, you and your Big Bird.
Well, I love how you called her Beetlejuice because she does look like Beetlejuice.
But that's what I'm saying. The bottom line is, we want to help the black family. If you want to help black people, you repair the black family. Get them off the welfare. That's how you repair the black people.
And notice that we digress a bit when we start talking, because when we get into this political correctness or whatever we're covering during one of our candid conversations, it's because the rabbit hole there's no bottom to it. We just keep going, and it always comes back full circle, but then it spearheads off into another direction. And that's basically what we're doing, is when going back to the Judeo-Christian values, the Greek thoughts like Stoicism and that sort of thing. When you really get into it and try and break it down, you really are breaking down the West, and they really truly are our foundations. And when you break down the Western world and you break down our ideology, that's it.
There's nothing left.
There's nothing left.
There's nothing left. So what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Are you going to go to Mexico? Or are you going to go to fucking Canada?
That's it. When you take down Europe, when you take down America, when you take down Australia, has already fallen.
Basically, they've fallen to tyranny.
They've fallen. I mean, New Zealand is there. I mean, you look at like Canada and Justin Trudeau. I mean, where to even begin with that sap? We're on our way to, we have to stop this. We have to stand up. Like, this is our generation's fight, is what's going on in this country right now. We have to stand up and we have to stop it.
If you want a secure future for your children, we have to stand up and do this fight so that our children can be secure and free in the future. We have to bear this burden. We got it like this. I'm not going to sit there and just blame somebody, blame the black man, blame this, blame somebody. I'm not here to blame anybody. We created this problem by what we did and what we didn't do, and now we have to fix the problem, period.
See, I like that, Chris, because we're not blaming. If we're blaming anyone, we do have to blame ourselves, because it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about who is putting these people in office. And I could not agree with Chris any more than we need to. If you do not have the public's interest in your best interest, you need to pull them out of office.
If you're going to sit there and allow drive-by shooters not to be prosecuted, that's it. I'm
looting and burning
down,
and allowing people to fly the hammer and sickle and telling us that they're freedom fighters and telling us how they hate America and they want to destroy America. And then the second we retaliate, they want their constitutional rights.
So we're going to get to a point in this country. Look, I can't. My heart is dropping seeing all this stuff. And it's got to come to a point where just enough is enough.
We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't.
Enough is enough, really. To the point where you're going to embolden drive-by shooters. That's it. I can't let that go.
If you're going to embolden, if criminals are now the victims, we failed as a society.
Yeah, I'm not going to allow.
We failed when you're getting rid of SAT scores, when you're telling me that math is racist. Universities have failed. Universities no longer deserve state funding. These places have failed. When you care more about an ideology and brainwashing and molding students instead of teaching them basic writing, arithmetic, understanding, stoicism, Greek understanding, any kind of logic, reason, accountability. When you're taking all of these out for an ideology, we failed as a society.
And we can't allow that to happen. And
we're not going to allow it.
So the takeaway message that I want you guys to hear from us, the takeaway message is that political correctness is rooted in fear. Fear. So if you're at a point where I can't say the truth because I fear I'm going to lose my job, because I fear my reputation is going to be attacked, because I fear I'm going to be called a racist, that's where you have to stand up.
Yeah.
You have to do the opposite of saying, well, I'm just going to shut up and not say anything and let the problem go. No, that's where it's going to be worse. That's where we're going to lose our country. We have to stand up to this. So every time you feel I'm afraid to say this, you have to say it. You have to have the balls, the courage, whatever you want to call it, to say the truth.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that we cannot concede on this. Like, freedom of speech is the ability to express ourselves indiscriminately. I mean, it is the most cherished ideal in the West and to ourselves. How many people have fought and died for this? And Chris and I are willing to fight and die for it.
I know. So so like I said, it got to a point. It's getting to a point where we're just normal people like me and Eric have to stand up and do something. We have to. It's like, I mean, we usually live in a country where we just let the politicians deal with it, right? But now you're seeing normal people like me and Eric speaking up for this. That's when we know we have a major problem in the country, where just normal people are standing up to speak the truth now, because we cannot allow this government to destroy us. We can't allow these markets to destroy us. Period. It just cannot happen. I'm not gonna watch Americans be brutalized, murdered, and looted. I'm not gonna watch America being burned down because I'm afraid, because somebody's gonna call me a racist, or somebody's gonna I'm gonna lose my job, or something's gonna happen. I'm not gonna allow this country to be destroyed. I'm just not going to allow it. Period.
Well, I think an inherent problem with America is, just like you're saying, is most of the time people just turn the other cheek and look the other way, and they don't want to get involved. But with Chris and I, the way that we look at it is basically you have the sheep and you have the shepherds. And the sheep, we're trying to wake the sheep up. And we're not talking that woke nonsense. We're talking wake up and stand up for not necessarily what Chris and I are saying. Stand up for yourself, because you're not going to agree with everything that we say. We're not going to agree with everything that you say, but that's the beauty of the discussion. That's the beauty of the debate, because there's no problem with being the fox and the wolf.
I mean, I just want you to, I believe this country is founded upon Judeo-Christian culture.
It is.
And Greek logic. And so if you could agree with those two things, we could disagree about a lot of things, but can we at least agree on those two things?
The foundation.
The foundation. So let's just, you don't have to agree with everything that I said, and of course I'm not going to agree with everything you say. But can we agree that that's what the West is built upon, and let's fight for that, because that's what's going to keep this country afloat. That's what's going to keep us free.
It's going to keep us free.
And let's stay free. You know what I'm saying? Let's do what works and stop following these woke people who are destroying. I want you to think about, can you name one thing that the leftist has touched and not has destroyed?
Nothing.
Every single thing that the leftist touches literally is destroyed.
They make it worse.
They make it worse.
They make it worse.
So do you want to keep on making these leftists destroy the country? I mean, that's it. I mean, do you want this country to be destroyed? Maybe you do. Maybe these leftists want the country destroyed.
There's no doubt they want it destroyed.
I don't know. So when it's destroyed, it's going to be chaos. Do they want to live in chaos? Do they want to rule the ashes, like you told me before?
Yeah.
Destroy everything and rule the ashes.
Yeah, they want to be kings of the ashes.
Kings of the ashes. So, like I said, political correctness is built on fear. And once you start fearing, I want you to do the opposite. Courage is doing the right thing. Okay, so I want to end with this. Fortitude and courage. Fortitude is doing the right thing even though you're afraid. That's what's called fortitude. Doing the right thing even though you're afraid. That's what's called courage and fortitude. We must have courage and fortitude to have a free country. If we don't have courage and fortitude, we don't deserve a free country.